Shut up, Ryan.
Okay.
Sound like a robot.
Can you guys hear him? Okay, I'm gonna turn up just a little bit.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
you're
can
a
hear you.
machine.
Is that Ryan?
No, it's I was about to say your Discord name, but I don't think you want people knowing your Discord name.
What's your
Why not?
address?
Yeah, we only know Ryan as his exact address.
Which is
4
P. Sherman, 35
Five.
will be wasted.
No,
Australia.
there is a 4 in there, though.
oh shit.
That's already too much. We have to end the recording.
Purge everything.
Ryan, can you hear all of us? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm talking to the mic like if you can somehow hear the mic better, but that's bullshit. It's fucking stupid.
It's fine.
Okay.
I can hear just fine.
All right. Patrick, do you want to introduce what this is today?
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, today on Underground Mole Radio, we're finishing up the Resident Evil series with Resident Evil 8. This is Underground Mole Radio. I'm one of your hosts, Patrick. Sitting in front of me
Is Blake. Sitting to the left of me is
Josh.
and on the computer is
I'm the robot, Ryan.
I am the robot. So yeah, we'll be talking about Resident Evil 8, which will finish the conclusion of the main Resident Evil franchise
until they make another one.
until they make Resident Evil 9, which will be.
I heard rumors about that, yeah.
What are the
They're gonna
rumors?
make one for sure.
I don't know. I just keep hearing like whispers, like people on Reddit are like, oh, it's like the people who believe in aliens like connect dots and be like Resident Evil 9 confirmed kind of stuff. So like I think there's buzz, but yeah, I don't think anything like concrete or solid.
So before we start talking about Resident Evil 8, what do you guys want from Resident Evil 9? And we'll start with Patrick. What do you want from Resident Evil 9?
I want it to be Resident Evil with a 9 at the end of it.
I fucking
So it's like the graph, but upside down.
Getting. Then you put them next to each other.
Resident
It's
Evil
69. Can you take this seriously?
Resident Evil 9. Well, since Ethan, his story is over, and then the DLC for 8 already did his daughter. From 9, I think it would be nice to come back to another like more familiar character to play as, like maybe bring like Claire back or something, or maybe even playing as Jill again.
What's the... Resident Evil Revelations 2. That's the last one of Claire in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Jill is Revelations 1, and I'm pretty sure Claire's Revelations 2.
Yeah, and Barry is also in too.
Yeah. Is that Claire? Yeah, it is Claire. Yeah, Claire should be the next... It's either Claire or Jill should be the hero in the next one or something, because like they really haven't been in anything except for 5, but they were... Jill was like a side villain. Or a villain, yeah. But you don't kill her. She's not a bitch.
And she's blonde.
So that's what you'd want. You want them to bring back like a OG character.
Yeah, it would be nice to go back into more familiar territory.
Now, would you want the OG character to be first person, or do you want to go back to third person?
I think they've been doing a really good job with third person with all the remakes they've been doing. I think it would be nice to go back to third person.
Is that all you want to say about 9?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you want for Resident Evil 9, Josh?
So having played 8, I think what I would really like, I would like it to stay first person. I think the first person adds a lot to the horror.
I'm done with Josh.
The third person's cool, but I don't know. I just like after 7 and 8, I'm just like I like the first person more. However, 8 was way too action oriented and kind of started going into like the goofy like category.
What?
Where it's like you're fighting like werewolves and shit.
What?
It gets like kind of magical, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like I was reading a synopsis on it. I was like, there's like some magic crystal bullshit going on in
Yeah, kinda.
8.
It's 8 gets a little wacky, especially as I felt like 7 was a lot more grounded, which was surprising to me from Resident Evil game. 8 just felt like they were like, let's just like turns the knob all the way as far as it can go and then like rip it off the thing. It's
over
You
9,000.
can't just freaking turn the knob and rip it off. That
They
hurts,
did.
dude. No.
Yeah, that's how you're
Oh.
fighting like vampires and shit. And we're like, what the fuck? But I loved 8. I thought it was really fun. I like the guns and the weapons. As much as guns and weapons, I feel like kind of breaks the whole horror aspect of a lot of the rest, like what 7 was able to achieve. I hope that they can somehow mesh 7 and 8 in terms of the good qualities, and that's what I would like to see for 9. Either way, I'm excited for it. I had a lot of fun with 8. I think 7's amazing.
What would you want for like character base though? Patrick says he wants a original character to come back. What would you like a new character, or do you want like an OG coming back?
I'm mixed because I kind of like. I'm terrible with characters. I don't really give a shit about characters.
Mhm.
I feel like they didn't really do a good job with. They don't traditionally the new Resident Evil games. I feel like do not a very good job with creating new characters that work in like the. Well, I guess Ethan is a new character.
Yeah.
Ethan, Mia, yeah.
I kind of prefer the new characters taking the helm and then having the original characters almost like show up on the side. I seeing like Chris in 7 was really fun because it felt like such a different game, and then when he finally shows up, you're like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, it comes back.
And then him almost being like a somewhat antagonist in 8 was pretty fun too. And I like the daughter. I can't remember her name now.
Rose.
Yeah, Rose. I think she's kind of a cool character, and it would be cool to see more of her. But I think I'm worried that she's too strong because she's got like powers and shit. And whenever they try to implement one of those characters, it's almost a little too much as a main character, and it takes away. A bit
How
from
does
the
it become
horror.
survival horror at that point if your character's like overpowered?
Exactly.
Well, did you play
Yeah.
the DLC?
Died.
You asshole.
No, I haven't looked into it.
How is she in the DLC?
Not really that overpowered.
What can she do? She's molding it.
Yeah, she just becomes like all moldy and stuff. And all the
Yeah.
enemies
Gross.
like,
She just
get
becomes
away from
gross.
me."
Everyone runs away from her.
No, pretty much like you don't use the powers to like just like outright kill somebody. You pretty much use it to like get them off of you when they're on you. And then you also just like interact with the world with it as well.
Interesting.
So yeah, she wasn't super overpowered in the DLC. So if they were to bring her back as the main character in 9, I guess that would also kind of be cool too.
I guess what I mean is she's a little too like fantasy-ish. Like I always like those characters as almost like side characters or antagonists that show up.
Like
whereas-
Wesker.
Yeah, like Wesker.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I felt like that's
I
why
miss Wesker.
I fucking love, but he was an antagonist, so you're not like playing as Wesker.
I want to play as Wesker. Bring Wesker back in 9.
What I mean is in the horror aspect.
Yeah.
Like having like a character who's just existing in this universe that's kind of like grounded to yourself, and then having all these other kind of like wacky and supernatural characters, I feel like makes the story work a little better for me. I think she's cool, but I think being able to have powers takes away a lot of the simplicity, and having her pop up would be nice, would be cool. I think she's a cool character, but like it's kind of like Chris Redfield punching a boulder and like knocking it into a volcano.
That's because you find out Chris Redfield is actually half Gigante.
Yeah, this is dad.
There's a family photo of Claire, Chris, and then just a Gigante being like, oh, like holding them.
And then the
saw
mom
this-
is in a wheelchair.
Yeah, mom's a rock.
I saw this video where it was a modified version of God of
Rock with
War.
a hole in it.
Oh my god, I'm blanking on the newest one,
Resident
Ragnarok.
Oh, Ragnarok.
Or it's the no, it wasn't Ragnarok. It was the first God of War, the fucking 5 or whatever, the remake.
Yeah.
where it's just God of War.
It's not a remake. It's a like soft reboot.
Reimagining or
I'll
something.
reboot
Yeah,
you.
I love that one. But it's the part where he's fighting. I'm so bad with names. My brain just is like
Baldur?
you have no
Yeah,
no
the villain,
capacity
yeah.
for names anymore. I just deleted
This
all of
asshole.
them. But it's that fight. But it's Leon as
that's-
Kratos, and then Baldur is the girl from 4 who you're like trying
Oh,
to
yeah,
save.
Oh, Ashley?
And so they're like punching through trees and shit, and like punching boulders. And I was like, oh, it's like the end of Resident Evil 5.
Oh, that's fucking great. Did you have anything else you want to say about Resident Evil 9?
it.
Ryan, what do you want from Resident Evil 9?
Resident Evil 9. Like I said, I skipped 7 and 8 completely, or like I played a little bit of 7. Like the first person stuff just didn't grab me, especially for Resident Evil. And it could just be due to a change of like, you know, directors or designers saying, you know, they want to pursue that. But I think I'm kind of with Josh here in that I want the whole story to get a little bit more grounded again and find like its roots, because I've like said this before and I'll keep saying it, like I loved the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, and I loved like kind of the early stages of that outbreak just sort of happening. Like it just kind of happens and you're not necessarily part of this bigger plot, but you're learning about a bigger plot as you go along. And I think something that I really liked about the Resident Evil 3 remake was how you get into these like different segments of the game, and they're like almost like a partial open world like zone. Like you're down in like the city, like the outbreak's happening, you're like trying to figure out and like solve these puzzles in this like kind of enclosed open environment, and you can kind of do things in like not necessarily the intended or correct order, but you can do them like as you see fit and as you like kind of progress through that stage. So I kind of want to like see Resident Evil break out into like a little bit more of like maybe even a full open world kind of thing, where like you just have all these like puzzles and environments to explore, but you can return and go back to them if like say you find like a new piece of equipment that lets you access new areas or unlock new doors.
It's like a Metroidvania.
I have no idea if they're even like considering something like that.
I do like that idea of like a open world, because recently me and Mallory were playing Red Dead Redemption 2, but then like also Batman Arkham City and Arkham Knight and Origins, and like just Grand Theft Auto in general. Like the open world zombie hasn't really been done, but you can do that in like a way of like some story that you can follow, kind of like Dead Island. Like take like a Resident Evil but make it Dead Island, where there is
Dead Evil.
Or they just came out with the remake of
Evil Island.
Evil Island.
Oh God, fuck! I'm so bad.
Resident Island.
The one where they're in the mall.
Dead Rising.
Dead Rising.
I was just playing that the other day.
Oh.
I fucking miss the original Dead Rising and Dead Rising 2. Those
That was
games
so
were
good.
awesome.
I would love to see something like that where they do like a mixture of like there's missions and stuff to do, but you're kind of like you're saying, Ryan, you're not like part of you're not a essential figure in the plot. You just kind of stumble into the plot. Like Leon in Resident Evil 2 stumbles into the plot of Resident Evil 2, where Jill 3 is part of the plot because she's a STARS member being hunted by Nemesis. But I think it would be kind of cool if like I was talking to this Mallory about, I'm like, I would love to play a Resident Evil game where you're just like a fucking firefighter or like a teacher or something. Like I love the whole, the military guy, or like the guy who's like, I'm a cop or I'm a soldier or this and this. But I would love to play more of like Ethan in Resident Evil 7 when he's just a guy who's like, I'm gonna go look for my wife. And he gets these, goes, oh shit, I'm fucked up. Like there's bad shit happening. And then Resident Evil 8, they give him military training and everything. But I was like, I kind of like the idea of just an average, everybody kind of guy shows up. Like I would love to be, that fat trucker guy in Resident Evil 2, who like is eating
at the very beginning.
In the very beginning, I want to play that guy. Like I want to play like a kind of like middle-aged dude who's just like, oh, what the fuck's going on? And you kind of like run around doing stuff. Did you have anything else you want to say about Resident Evil 9, Ryan?
I think the only thing I had like, I don't really have strong inclinations about like what characters they choose to put into 9. Like I don't have strong feelings for like any of the new characters, like either Ethan or Mia. I like the idea of just having something fresh in there and then having like old characters as cameos, because then you feel a little bit less essential to the plot, and then like stuff is happening around you and you're like an observer to like this larger scheme. So I think that would go a long way to make the series like feel grounded again. If you're like just this dude that's like, what the heck is happening? Like, just this catastrophic event just happened, and then you're like picking up everything as you go along. You can't do that if you're an original character, because you assume the entire plot ahead of time.
Yeah, because like all the Resident Evil characters, like the core characters, they've now been through so much shit that there's like no reason for them to ever be, I don't know, doubtful of anything. Like Leon fucking was working with the president, and he went to like Spain and killed everybody there. And then Chris went to Africa and killed
the entirety of Spain.
Well, he did. And then you know, Chris went to Africa and killed all those guys with dirt bikes and all that shit. And then Ethan went to nameless Europe town and killed everybody there. And like I don't know, like all those characters have been through so much shit, and like Claire and Jill have been through basically everything. So like you're kind of at a point where those characters would be like desensitized to like shit happening to them. Did you have anything else to say before I say my opinions?
No, you go for it.
Okay. So what I would like is I kind of want to mix, because like I liked in 8 where you play as Ethan, but then there's like some chapters you play as Chris. I think it would be kind of cool if like you play a new character and then like it's 2 characters you're playing, and you like halfway through the game, like, you know, after a chapter or 2, you switch to the other character, and the other character is a well-known character. Like in Resident Evil 6, I thought it was cool that, you know, you have a main character and a new character for every campaign, and I wish they kind of did that in just the whole game. Is like you have a new character over here and then an original character doing this stuff. And then what I would love is if the new character is kind of doing more of like Resident Evil 3, where it's a little bit open world, like you get to a location, you can kind of run around, do some stuff before you move on. And then the original character, like, you know, Claire, Jill, Chris, Leon, is more in a, I would love if that character was more like Resident Evil 2, or, you know, again, Resident Evil 8 when they're at the castle. Because I love when you're in a location for like the entire game. Like I love Resident Evil 2 so much because you're just in that police station. I think that's really cool because like stuff keeps changing, things are happening, and like you're going through rooms and there's new enemies and like enemies are getting up. So I'd love to play a original classic Resident Evil where you're one character stuck in some location, like Resident Evil 8 when Ethan's in the castle. I love that part. But then like you kind of run around a whole bunch doing a whole bunch of stuff. But like I would love that, but then I also want a new character that does some other stuff. And like maybe they meet at the very end, or maybe they never meet. It's just like 2 stories happening at once, and like they maybe affect each other. Because I don't know, like I don't really, at this point, I don't really have any like commitment to any character. Like, you know, Leon's cool and everything, but shit, all those dudes are like pushing 50, aren't they? Or should be.
What's wrong with 50?
I don't know. Or like I don't know if you guys saw,
age.
yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the message I was telling Ryan about the Mad Max thing, about how in Mad Max Fury Road, Max is either 37 or 81 possibly. And it's like, what the fuck? Because like I don't know, like Chris is cool, and I think Chris is perfect to be the side cameo guy because he's the military dude. But I would love if like you're doing stuff as some random character and like Leon is trying to escort you through the city or trying to tell you where to go. Like, I don't know. I think you don't have to focus on a original character. I mean, you don't have to focus on a like older character. Give me some new people to keep things like fresh. Like I still think Resident Evil 8 should not have been Ethan, but that's just me. I think maybe it should have been a new guy, but whatever.
There is one character I'd love to see.
Who?
Sheva.
Steve. Sheva? Yeah. Oh, yeah. What the fuck is she doing?
Sheva fell off.
Dude, people would be so excited if she made it, like, if she popped up.
What if she came back like cybernetic? Like she comes in,
I would be so
and
mad.
she like opens, like she like rips off like a duster, and she has like a
Cyborg
robotic
arms.
arm.
She
and,
looks like the guy from Metal Gear Solid Revengeance.
Yeah.
Freaking Raiden.
Like that'd be so freaking cool. And it's like, holy shit, Sheva, what have you been up to? And she's like, I've been saving the world. And then like you have like all these flashbacks of her just like becoming like the woman king.
Or she's just like nothing.
Oh yeah, she's like nothing. It's like, wait, what's all of the parts? She's like, you know, it happens. You know, I got hit by a car. So it became like robot Gatling gun legs.
Became RoboCop.
Dude, that'd be fucking sick. So I think we're done with like, I don't know. I would love, as much as I loved Resident Evil 8, I just wish they would stick more to just straight horror. Like Resident Evil 7 is very horror.
Yeah.
And I wish they would, because Resident Evil 8, I was like, wow, this is like a blueprint for the most recent Resident Evils, like Resident Evil 4 and 5 and 6, where you're bouncing between all these different locations with so many different bosses. I would love it if it just went back to horror and maybe kind of like Mr. X or Nemesis, where there's one guy or something or one creature that's kind of like chasing you, but it's just like, shit, I'm scared.
Which would be awesome for an open world setting too, because like if you're constantly like looking over your shoulder for this like kind of semi unstoppable monster chasing at you like throughout a city or some other environment, like that'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, it would be great. What are you gonna say, Josh?
The baby was really well done. I wouldn't call it a boss
the baby.
fight. Did you play 8?
Yeah.
Rosemary?
Oh!
Yeah.
No, he's
Where
not.
no. Yeah, you got the
not
baby.
Rosemary.
It's like, oh, it's scary and it's jar. The part where you go to the
doll woman.
The house
yeah,
Benevento.
and it's got like the
I like that part a lot. I thought it was way too short though.
yeah,
You're
it
short.
was. It's like the only scary.
Well, like
part
the
of that
same
game.
height.
Shut up.
Sorry, Josh.
Yeah, it's
sorry,
like a
Patrick was
baby-sized monster,
oh, Ethan goes, what?
like sucking on your toes.
But no, that part
Dies.
was really creepy and everything. And I would love if like Resident Evil did that kind of stuff too, where like you go in a room and it's just like shit's just scary. Like you're like, oh shit, I can't just shoot my way out of here, or I can't just like flashbang and run. It's like, oh shit, I gotta get the fuck out of Dodge. Like there's like Resident Evil 4, the regenerators are so fucking scary because it's like, wow, these guys are gonna suck up all my ammo and I'm
And then
fucked.
they're gonna suck on me.
Oh God! Ashley, get away! And just Leon, you just hear.
Don't look at this, Ashley. Ah!
He gets sucked so hard, his hair like gets like sucked into his head.
Watch out for the sucking monster.
What were you gonna say, Josh?
I was gonna say, who was everybody's in 8? Because we're talking specifically about 8.
Yeah,
not
let's
like
talk about 8.
Yeah, sorry.
in general.
Of the bosses?
Of the or not even of the bosses, just like of the big main characters, including Duke. Who's your favorite? No. Okay, well, let's just talk about the bosses. The
Okay, but
actual
sorry,
villain.
who's Duke? Oh, the Duke.
guy.
The Duke. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Blob.
I love him. He's like,
you call
I
me?
love when he does the reference to Resident Evil 4 and he goes, "That was a friend of mine."
Yeah.
But like of all the characters, I really liked Moreau, and I also really liked Heisenberg. I wish Heisenberg. The only thing about Heisenberg though for me is I felt like they kind of built up his like hammer weapon.
Yeah.
And then like they're like, oh yeah, he's like Magneto and all that stuff. And then when you fight him, he's a giant
tank.
metal fucking caterpillar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, what happened to your hammer? Like I really thought there was gonna be something there.
He followed the rules set by the other Resident Evil games, where you have all this power, but your final form is a big fucking blob monster.
And you're weak as shit. Because I feel like he could have kicked my ass if
Yeah,
he just
I know.
stayed normal.
Well, Ethan was fueled by just pure rage. That
Yeah, because his
entire
baby
game.
got like jarred.
There's the part where Heisenberg shows up when he's like, sit in the chair. And Ethan's just like, fuck you. Like, or where he's like holding him over the pit and you can hear like the like chain. Well, it's the propeller guy, but you can hear
Yeah.
like the chainsaw going off. And he's like, you don't want to see what's down there. And Ethan's just like, fuck you, I'll fucking kill you.
I do like how Ethan is just like, fuck you. Like, I do like that. But
It was driving me crazy. He was like acting like a psychopath.
But yeah, I really liked Moreau and Heisenberg. Real quick though, before you guys talk, I have like a fun bit of like information to tell you about a like a lawsuit against Resident Evil 8.
Oh no.
Have you guys ever heard of like the legal action that's like being taken against Resident Evil 8?
Is this a recent
no.
one? Or?
No. So this was happening
I
when
know
it
it.
came out because so that character you're talking
Yeah,
about, the propeller guy,
Mhm.
Sturm. Yeah, he is a armless. He's only legs, and he's this mechanical thing with these giant chainsaws on his head.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
But there is a movie called Frankenstein's Army, which has the exact same character.
Well, it's a propeller, right? It's a propeller on an engine.
In that
Yeah.
one, yes, it's a propeller.
Isn't it
on
that way in Resident Evil?
No, in
8
8
too?
it's chainsaws.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure it's chainsaws.
No, in 8 it is a propeller.
Because
Are you fucking kidding
I
me?
remember looking up the designs because I was like, oh, frivolous lawsuit. Like it's probably close, but not exactly. I looked it up. I'm like, that's a fucking
Yeah,
coincidence.
Ryan, if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up
No.
Resident Evil 8 and Frankenstein's Army, because basically everybody in Heisenberg's section straight up looks like a character from this movie called Frankenstein's Army. It wasn't a huge movie, but that's still stealing. You can't just look at designs from something and be like, oh, we can just do that. So the thing is that the creator came out and was like, hey, I've contacted them and talked to them about like, hey, this looks way too similar to my character. And of course, it's Capcom, right? Who does Resident Evil?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they haven't said anything, because if they say anything that's, some sort of credibility or some sort of like they're admitting to stealing, but
They're just like, nah, man, that ain't me.
like fuck.
Blake's right. It is chainsaws.
Yeah, I'm right.
It's so
Wow,
goofy.
wait,
Yeah.
So I just looked up like the images comparing
Oh,
Frankenstein's
shit, that is
army and
chainsaws.
Resident Evil Village, and it's like strikingly similar. Like
It's
it's
so-
like one
there's
for
a
one. Someone
chance.
just copy pasted that.
There's a chance that they came up with them on their own. It is
Yeah.
very close,
Of
but
course,
there are
there's always that
differences.
chance.
I felt it was chainsaws because that was like the
Chainsaws is crazy. That's goofy.
No, I love that. You're crazy. But yeah, I thought that was very interesting because, like you said, Ryan, like they and like what everyone's saying is like they could just come up with those designs. It's like, oh, how cool would it be if this guy had like a head that was like spinning like that? But the problem is like it looks really similar to the other
It's the
guy's
same
stuff.
concept.
Yeah.
It's the same concept, and then they haven't denied or admitted to it, so I think it didn't go anywhere. But I think the creator was kind of like, oh, what the fuck.
Those
That's
are
so hard to prove, though. Like, how can you directly prove that? Like, oh yeah, Capcom stole designs from Frankenstein's army. Like, I don't know.
it's very, very difficult to prove, and it's almost impossible, especially because there's enough variation in the design where you can't. Like I trademarked propeller on a head.
Well,
I got trademark propeller, man.
we should have done that. Well, that's like Domino's and Pizza Hut got in a lawsuit about
Yeah.
cheese stuffed crust because I believe it was Domino's was explaining this is how we stuff cheese in the crust in a very specific way. Then Pizza Hut described how they do it, and since technically it was not in the same way, they got away with it. Even though Domino's like, we created cheese stuffed crust or something. I can't remember which way it was, but
Who wins?
I feel like it's Pizza Hut that
I think
started doing this stuff.
okay, so maybe it was
first.
Pizza Hut claiming this is how we do it, and then Domino's was like, we do it like this, and technically because the verbiage was different, they were able to not get sued. So technically, like this, it's like, yeah, obviously he's got propeller on the head, but we just came up with the idea, and like you can't really prove like but it's not propeller, it's chainsaw. So it's like, well, technically it is different, but visually they're similar. But at the same time, like everything's
I
similar.
would make the argument for that specific case where they are technically, you get into, especially as a creative, you get into really dangerous territory when you're trying to be like, hey, your character is holding a chainsaw, you're copying Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
And
Oh,
you start to block all these other creatives because you've always heard people say like all movie ideas, they're original, but I would argue they're original, but you've heard the people say no idea hasn't been done. Like everything's been done. Whenever you're telling someone about a story, they're like, oh, it's like this
everything's
one.
iterative and inspired too. It's like it's a very fine line between like copyright infringement and inspired.
Yeah. And so there's a really hard, I think there's a very difficult, I think it's important for things to be inspired. It's a very important part of creation. I think it's fine. I think there's a lot of aspects where, when you're looking at it from a corporate sense, you're like, oh, I need my money. You can't take this thing because it's my intellectual property, propeller head guy. But realistically, it stifles creation. Not in this specific sense. We're talking about Resident Evil 8, and we're talking about a sub-boss, like a little mini-boss. But
Well, don't say that to his face. He'll get really sad about
yeah,
it.
it'll start
My
spinning
propeller
really
is-
slow.
It starts leaking, like he's crying.
Yeah, oil on the sides.
Shits himself.
I don't know. I'm weird. It's like the original creator of Doom.
Did you say critter?
Yeah, the original creator. No, creator.
Oh, okay. I thought you just said the original critter
the,
of
original,
Doom.
the original critters of Doom. I can't remember the John Romero and all those
Yeah.
guys. I loved how they operated, where they were just like, hey, we made this game. It's selling really weird. Here's the source code. And like Return to Castle Wolfenstein, that game, although it survived in different iterations, that game spawned so many different amazing games. And it's just, I think creatively it's important to be able to share that shit. Obviously, we're talking about a monster design, which is different than source code.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think if someone straight up steals your idea, like they're like straight up stealing your idea, and it's word for word your idea, I don't know. It's a complicated.
It is complicated because, again, it comes down to how do you prove that they did that, unless it's like
What's the
Ozzy
extent?
Osbourne's son, where it's like, oh, he traced manga and then sold it as his own.
A good example is actually Joel Haver
Oh yeah.
with his SNL, came out with this skit That's it's a terrible skit. It's like, so what the skit is it's the Charmin bears, and one of them's like, I don't want to sell toilet paper, I want to dance, and that's the skit. And you're like, oh man, that's awful. SNL stole that skit. Like, it's not even one of his better ones, and SNL straight up made a skit that is exactly that. And so that's a good example of, you just stole that guy's shit. You didn't add to it at all creatively. And there's no way you could argue, oh, I was just sitting there. I guess you could. It's a really bad skit. Like, someone could just be sitting there and be like, what the Charmin bears?
Isn't that like, they did that in South Park with the whole, like, gay fish joke, where Carson C was like, I was just sitting there thinking fish stick sounds like fish dicks. And, like, you know, he claimed it as his joke. But then Cartman and Jimmy were like, no, dude, like, we came up with that joke. And it's like, yeah, but, you know, someone could sit there and be like, because, like, okay, so this is a huge side tangent. Then we'll go back to the original thing Josh asked.
Oh, yeah.
But this is my side tangent. Is in high school, some dude, I'm not going to say his name. Who gives a shit? It's Dudlachek. Do you guys remember him?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, so JD Dudlachek comes up to me. He's like, dude, I just saw that movie Teeth. And I was like, okay, great. And he's like, what if they made another version and it's like a guy and out of his dick comes like a needle? And I was like, you mean the thing that everyone has said about that movie, because that's the only thing comparable to, like, teeth coming
I never thought of that.
Well, Josh, you have a brain.
Yeah.
JD Dudlachek did not. Boom. Got it.
Whoa. Whoa, he's our number one sponsor.
He fucking
What
is
if he is? Now
He's
we just
not.
have no views on all of our videos.
No, but yeah, he was like, oh yeah, what if this happened? I was like, yeah, dude, a lot of people came up with that idea when that movie came out. So, like, there is times like that where, you know, for instance, like, say somebody, if like all four of us went to go watch a movie and we all sat there, watched the exact same movie, and then all four of us like, would it be cool if, like, they took this idea and did it this way?
I
like
do that all the time.
Yeah, we
like,
come up
every
with
movie I
different
watch.
concepts while watching the same movie. So you can look at the same thing and all of us can come up with the same idea. And, like, except Patrick, because he has no ideas. Are you JD Dudlachek? Okay, but okay, no, I can't go on another tangent. But, like, it is hard to actually find, you know, homage versus ripoff versus plagiarism versus just straight up stealing versus, like, being slightly inspired, because also that's, some people don't read and watch everything. Like, I watch a lot of movies, tons of them. So when I see other movies that have a little bit of tidbits in there, I'm like, did they get this from this one random 79 horror movie I'm watching? Most likely fucking not. Who the fuck watched that other than me? Nobody. But I'm like, that's pretty similar to something else. But I don't know. It's really hard to actually catch people like that unless it's... Do you guys know about the Ozzy Osbourne son thing?
No.
You don't?
I think
No.
I once heard about it, but I forgot. But then when you brought it up, I kind of...
So what happened was Ozzy Osbourne's son came out with a manga, and people were scanning his manga onto the internet being like, so this panel is straight up traced from this other manga. Because that's what he would do, is he would take paper and trace it and then just change the hairstyle and, like, the faces to make his own.
That's fucked up.
That is fucked up. And everyone's like, you're an idiot.
As an artist,
Yeah.
I think tracing and shit is important for obviously in drawing on your own. But that is stealing someone's art. The concept of poses and stuff is
Blake
so
just
important.
like went insane.
Hey,
But I did see that. I didn't know it was Ozzy Osbourne's son.
yeah, it's his son. No, well, because me and
fuck?
Mallory talk about this all the time, is when you're training and practicing how to draw, or just any craft, like movies, you can trace and copy and steal from movies and do your own thing with it to learn, but you never, ever, ever take that shit and post it as your own. Like, you can take a comic book and trace over it multiple times to learn anatomy and figure and all that stuff, but then don't take that and be like, look, I drew something out of my own brain. It's like, you're fucking stupid. That's fucking Ryan Otley's work.
Well,
Shout out to Ryan Otley.
And what he should do.
Ryan? We're talking to
No,
Ryan
Otley.
right now.
No, Ryan
Congratulations, Ryan. You're famous.
What he should
I
do.
am. Finally.
Is,
Sorry, Josh.
You're good. What he should do is what other professional comic book artists do, like Jock. I've seen him post a lot of stuff on, like, his Instagram where he will do the poses himself, and he'll take pictures.
Oh, okay.
So that he'll have references. And I think it's important, you know, when people do life, like, art,
Yeah.
and it's like, draw this person, and they're like dicks out, but they're on like a twister board, and so they're in like this crazy position. They do that because you need to be able to, you can't just draw people like standing the same way every single time. It's important to be able to, some people are also really good drawers where they can just sit there and like, oh my God, I'm so good at drawing. But then you're like, okay, draw something in this pose without any reference. And then you're fucked.
You're fucked.
Your person looks like a monster. Your proportions are all wild.
You don't know how to arm bends all of a sudden, and then all of a sudden you like don't know how fingers work.
Oh, hands are so difficult, and feet. But basically, what I'm saying is drawing is very, very difficult.
Tips on feet? Just ask Quentin Tarantino.
Ask Rob Liefeld.
Okay, wait. Rob Liefeld is a good artist, though. It makes me so mad when people are like, Rob Liefeld fucking sucks, and I'm like, I mean, he gets a lot of his proportions and shit wrong, but if you're gonna tell me he is a bad artist, what the fuck is the bar for entry? Damn. That's crazy. I hate when people. But you're right. His feet are funny.
You know what's funny? I've never heard people defend him.
I will.
Okay. I will say this, and I will agree with you, but I'll also disagree with you, because some of his portions are absolutely atrocious.
Atrocious. It sounds like necrosis.
Yeah. But corpses. The thing with Rob is, like, he did really good, but there definitely is an era of Rob, and this is the era people talk about, where he... Have you ever read Frank Miller's... Probably not. Why am I even fucking asking?
That's so funny, because I don't like Frank Miller.
Yeah, but so he made Dark Knight Returns, and the artwork in it's fantastic. But then he made Dark Knight Strikes Back, and the artwork is drawn by a 12-year-old. Why? Couldn't fucking tell you. It's the same guy. And with Rob Liefeld,
Frank Miller.
Yeah, but with Rob Liefeld, there's an era where Hawk and Dove, he was doing fantastic. X-Force, doing great. But then there's a period of his life where I think he was getting strung out. I think he was being pulled like way too thin, and he was like, because he was rushing. There was a lot of rushing because he was trying to keep up with certain stuff. And there's also the whole debacle of him and Todd McFarlane, and also him and Marvel, and him and basically Image Comics altogether.
Wasn't it him and DC too?
I'm almost positive. Something with them. Rob was going through some bad shit, but now that he's kind of back up on his game, I will say, because he does have very strong artistic style when he slows the fuck down, because like I said, there was a part where he was doing something was going on with him.
Well, I think it's a bunch of stuff, not to turn it into a Rob
Liefeld 8. That's who I want. That's why I want Resident Evil 9. I want Rob Liefeld.
Yeah, all of the characters are modeled after Rob Liefeld drawings, where it's all fucked.
Dude, they all have like big chests and like tiny.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you put up like one of my drawings, which I've spent hours and hours and hours just drawing and sketching, and I fucking suck. And
amen, brother.
But at some point, I would like to be good. And
I was gonna say right now.
This is really coming to Jesus moment for Josh.
Because Ryan didn't see it, but Josh and Blake just like fisted each other.
Oh, nice. Fist bump.
No, they fist bumped so hard.
What are you saying, Josh?
Blake's arm blew up like Ricky.
Shut up, Patrick.
No, we're not even talking about Resident Evil 8 right now. What the fuck do you mean, shut up?
Did you say Resident Evil 8?
Resident Evil 8! Kill yourself!
Resident Evil the Raid.
Wait, no. Sorry. Okay, hold on. Okay, we have to finish the Rob Liefeld tangent.
We shouldn't even be on this.
We shouldn't really. To finish it off.
Finish it.
What annoys me, I think it's a combination of a bunch of things. People just don't really like Rob Liefeld because he's kind of arrogant, especially in that like middle phase where he's like, yes, I'm really fucking good. But like, if you hold up one of his pieces of art, and people are like, your proportions are kind of off. You suck ass. It's like, fuck, I can't even enter.
Pieces of
like,
art.
you have to be so good.
That's the other thing about him is, like, I also draw, but I'm not at the point where I can't draw, like, off the top of my head, except if, like, a very, like, cartoonish.
I'm still not good.
Yeah, it's a fucking thing. And, like, I look at his art, and I'm like, you know.
So, Ryan, what about Resident Evil 8? What do you think?
I will mute you.
Patrick's jealous because he can't draw.
Patrick's just jealous because he has no talent, you fucking talentless hack.
But then he goes home, and he's fucking amazing.
He just goes home, and he's Rob Liefeld.
He starts
he's
crying.
like, everybody hates me.
Drawing, like, feet. They're, like, tiny.
You know, it's funny. I've never seen Patrick and Rob Liefeld in the same room. So.
Exactly.
Wait, Patrick, quickly, what is the comic book duo that Rob Liefeld is very famous for?
Cock and balls.
Yeah, it's
you know
a good
what really
one.
makes
I
me
like
mad is you were almost close with Hawk and Dove. You said Cock and Balls.
Oh, it's funny. I actually knew that, but I deleted it.
Yeah, that's like what he's mostly famous for. That and X-Force. Also, he is the creator of Deadpool. All right, done with Rob Liefeld. Resident Evil 8. And also, don't you ever try to have a second conversation during the podcast.
I'm sorry. I was trying to stay on topic,
No,
asshole.
you weren't.
Huh?
Don't shake your fucking hands at me. All right, Ryan, do you remember the original question Josh had asked?
No.
He
Nobody
was asking
does.
about bosses, right? Like what were, or was that your question, Blake?
No, Josh was asking who were your favorites in Resident Evil 8? Like what characters? Bosses, side bosses, Duke, Ethan,
Let's
Rose?
stick to
I like
bosses.
that.
We'll stick
I
to
like
bosses.
The blue bird in the
I
tree.
am asking Ryan.
Ryan, did you like the blue bird in the tree?
I don't even remember what that was.
I don't think it was there.
What are you talking about?
No,
Doesn't sound real.
It was because when you were trying to get like different ingredients for Duke
Rose?
to cook
Oh.
things. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
collecting rose out of the fucking tree.
I don't know why I thought ingredients were rose. Those are just jar baby.
No, because you collect like meat and like fish and stuff for him to create
And
food for you.
Baby
to eat
leg.
and,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
get like more health and shit.
And there was a bluebird?
Yeah, there's a bluebird. You shot it and got its meat.
Nice. And that was your favorite character?
No.
Oh. Cool. Can we have Ryan talk now? Because I had
Yeah.
asked him.
Okay, I'm ready. And this should be obvious coming from me, but
I know who it is.
I will go with a lot of the majority of liking Lady Dimitrescu.
That's what I thought.
I mean, big woman, make me happy.
Wouldn't make me happy. I got some links I can send you. I've searched. I'm not gonna deny it. I've looked.
Yeah, Blake has an entire folder on his laptop that says "For Ryan" on it.
Thanks, Blake.
Fuck off.
I'll pick that up later.
I'll send it to you. I'll send you as like a manila folder. I'm like for Ryan's eyes only. And it's just like
unclassified.
it's 2 terabytes. You're
Do
like,
not
holy
open
shit.
before Christmas.
Yeah. Open the
But
night of Christmas.
I actually, just to expand a little bit further on that, I like I said, I haven't played Resident Evil 8. I've only seen like videos. But yeah, like
Hey,
I was kind of on board the Lady Dimitrescu like hype train because like I thought that was a like interesting character, and that is an example I think of like an inspired character because I think in a lot of I think it's like Japanese like mythology or like kind of ghost stories or ghost telling. It's like a tall woman is usually like kind of an ominous thing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like that's what I think was kind of interesting about that character is like she had like I thought like a criminally like short runtime in that game, and I think they could have really expanded on her, and I would have liked to see that like character be fleshed out a bit more. And she had like this backstory with like these the what was it, like the triplets or like the sisters or whatever.
Yeah,
but-
the trio.
Yeah.
yeah, the trio of like the vampires and stuff. But I think it was cool having this like kind of alternative Mr. X like character that's like really big, tall, and imposing, but it's like it's kind of she's like for lack of a better word, she's like sexualized in a way. So it gives you like all these like weird feelings when you face her.
Real quick, it's funny that you're saying that like you know, she comes from like folklore and all that stuff. Is she's highly inspired by Elizabeth Bellanathy, that like woman who apparently bathed in blood. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Ooh,
Yes,
I think I've heard of it.
Okay, so there's like this famous like tale of this woman called like Elizabeth Bellanathy. I'm probably getting that name wrong, but she was notorious for a woman who bathed in blood. And she was also like royalty and everything. But there's also this picture
Christ.
where in 1938 there is a fashion model who basically is wearing the exact same outfit Lady D wears. So Lady D is highly inspired by, you know, tons of stuff, like, you know, tons of lore, tons of folk tales, tons of all, you know, like this big monstrous woman, but she's beautiful, but she's royalty. And I will agree with you, Ryan. I felt she was supposed to be a much bigger boss, and I was like blown away that she's the first one to go.
She's
Like,
actually not even the biggest boss. She's the smallest physically.
what? Oh, so do you mean the metal caterpillar? No, because she turned into a dragon.
Yeah, but it's not as big as Moreau. Oh, I guess the
Well, no, I guess Moreau was really big.
we're getting
Well,
off
I mean, they're
track.
technically
How
like,
big
the
was
same
the baby?
size. The baby's the smallest.
How big is Rosemary?
Oh, the baby's the
Rosemary
smallest.
is just like an arm.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's a couple pieces.
Yeah, I guess Moreau was pretty giant. I guess I have to see like a size comparison of the dragon, the caterpillar, and Moreau next to each other. But
it's just like a big.
but when they're
inchworm.
human, or not human, but when they're in their humanoid state, she's the tall lady.
It's true.
But But yeah, I would love to see more of like, and see, that's one of the things where like I was talking about earlier is I would love to play a Resident Evil game where I'm like stuck in one location. Because if you gave me a Resident Evil game like Resident Evil 8 where you're mostly just stuck in that castle for like 80% of the game, I think that would have been fucking fantastic. And again, like Mr. X or Nemesis, she's constantly chasing you. Like they did that part so good, and everything after that, I was just like, oh, I felt really rushed through every other location. But Ryan, did you have something else to say about Lady D?
Nah, just to like I guess close the loop on that is like she like her runtime was like way too short, and like I think there was a big opportunity that was kind of missed to expand on that character, and like I think there is still an opportunity, like if they ever wanted to kind of do like a weird like in between prequel, like between 7 and 8, they could potentially expand on that character.
I could see that. Oh, she's bigger than Nemesis.
Yeah,
A
she's
big woman.
a fucking big bitch.
Oh, what's this though?
That's
What do you mean,
a
what's
whole
this?
lot of
Oh
woman.
no.
Who's that? Who the fuck is that guy?
Who's that between her tits? What is
Resident
that?
Evil Damnation? What the fuck is Resident Evil Damnation? Get the fuck.
Oh, isn't that one of those like CGI movies?
I think so.
Oh yeah, probably. Have you guys ever seen it? What are we? Don't get me on another tangent.
I saw Death Island. It's pretty good. It's the most recent one they did.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's where all four of them come together. Come together.
Yeah.
Right now. Okay.
Let's talk about the Beatles. Who's your favorite Beatle?
Gonna have to go with Yoko Ono.
Ryan. Patrick. Oh fuck. One of you guys talk. Patrick. Favorite villain. Favorite boss. Fuck.
Well,
Riveting.
Thank you. I'd say Heisenberg is my favorite. Did your phone just fall off?
No, I just put it down.
It
but I
sounded
did it like an
fell on the
asshole.
floor.
See? I did it like
Anyway,
an asshole.
yeah, I'd say Heisenberg.
Mr. H.
Yeah, the big H. Frickin' Triple H.
Dude, Triple H from Blade 3.
But my
I feel like
favorite...
Heisenberg is like overpowered as a concept. Like he's just Magnet Metal Man.
Yeah, they have overpowered people, but then when you fight them, they're just big goop men who are super easy to fight.
Yeah, especially Lady D. She became a big goop man at the end.
Yeah, big
The
goop.
dragon had a big dick.
Yeah. That was really weird. Why did the dragon have a dick? I'll have it D, I guess. Lady D, dragon dick.
Ooh.
Anyway, yeah, Heisenberg, because he was a cool character. He had like his own motives to go against Mother Miranda. I thought it would have been cool if you teamed up with him, but of course Ethan's like, no, I need to save Rose. I don't want to use her as a weapon. Fuck you. And he's like, go fight my chainsaw propeller guy then. And then you do, and he's like, shit.
Yeah.
Fight my army of Frankensteins. He looks right at the camera.
Just winks.
You know what's funny? I also really wished Ethan had teamed up with Heisenberg, because
Would have been interesting.
it would have been, because there's no, in every Resident Evil game, there's always good guys and bad guys. There's no like, oh, I teamed up with Irving, you know,
Gross.
or like, you know, you don't team up, like even like when you team up with Ada, she's not really super teamed up with you, but like there's no part where a coup is happening and you actually team up with the guy, because Ethan, he had a fucking army. Like,
when he's killed
yeah.
2 of them already at that point, right? When he shows up at
he's killed
Heisenberg.
3. Because
Yeah.
at
Yeah,
that
he
point,
kills 3.
what's the doll woman?
Oh yeah, I always forget about her.
Yeah, she's dead. Moreau is dead, and then Lady D is like dead because she was a dragon. She was flying, and then at that point, I would have just been like, maybe Ethan was out for blood. Like maybe
He
was.
was.
Like,
He was a
he's
fucking
like,
psychopath.
kill every single one of you.
You're the last one.
And then he kills the Duke. The Duke's like, what are you doing?
He just crawls inside of his belly button.
He kills Chris. Kills every single person.
He would kill Chris.
Yeah.
No, I think Chris would kill him. He was just like one punch man.
Well, no, but he would punch him, but then you get stuck in his mold body,
No.
and then he would like take over, and then he would become Chris
I
mold.
don't know. I feel like Chris would punch him and his skeleton would fly out like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, but he doesn't need that because he's mold.
That is true.
But then you'd have 2 Ethans.
Dude, what, just a skeleton?
Yeah. I've seen Jason and the Argonauts. Jason the skeleton will fuck you up. Josh, who's your favorite boss?
Okay,
Stop tangentizing us.
to go as quickly as possible. My favorite boss is also, might butcher names, Lady Dimitrescu or whatever. The reason she's my favorite, I think
I say Lady D.
Lady D. I think leading up to the game, especially when it was all announced and they were releasing all these videos of like all the characters interacting with one another, it was super fun to watch. And so it was like exciting to like kind of get the attachment to each of these characters. And they were almost like, it was weird when that game was announced, it was almost like the characters were like these celebrities. Not really, but like in how the voice actors were interacting and fans were like speculating about them.
Yeah.
I think Lady Daytripper.
Jesus Christ.
I think that she, to me, her voice actress was amazing.
Oh, she
did
so good.
Such a good job. And a lot of her voice lines, and I felt like a lot of her motive, because I felt like her character, compared to the other ones, like, it's very clear that, like, she should have been, like, the second in command.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, Heisenberg can, like, kill this guy. And then that literally kills all of them. Like, so it just it was weird, because it felt like, I don't know, she was such a good character. I thought that the actress did such a good job. I always like big, imposing characters, especially in horror games, but she's sneaky.
Who the fuck did I say?
You said...
I said Moreau and Heisenberg, didn't
yeah.
I? I'm a fucking idiot.
Well, they're good.
Well, we
Yeah.
can come back to you.
Yeah, we'll come back to me now that I have a brain.
because you didn't even really explain.
I
your
didn't. I'm a
reasoning.
fucking asshole.
Well, to zoom through mine, I felt like...
No rush.
I felt like her boss fight was pretty lame. So that was kind of a bummer.
When she's a dragon or before
character,
that?
when she turns into a dragon.
Oh, okay.
The part where you, like, reach out for the door thing and then she like cuts your hand off
And your hand's just, like,
was a
hanging
really
off
good
of it.
scene. She was just really good, and the actress did. I think that I would argue, besides I would say Moreau, she was the best voice actor. She was the best voice. She was the best voice in the game, I felt. Heisenberg was my second favorite because I thought he was a very interesting character. I also liked that it felt like they let the actors have a lot of creative input in the characters, to a point where Heisenberg felt a little funny at times. Like, he spoke to me, he felt like he was almost a mix of, like, I can't think of who else it was, but he kind of talked like Nicolas Cage. So I could never get that out of my head whenever he would come on screen. But I thought the hammer was cool. I thought he was a cool looking character. The way that he kind of tried to barter was interesting, and again, I wish that they had teamed up. I thought that would have been more interesting. Although obviously Ethan didn't need it because he's fueled by psychopathic homicidal rage.
Yeah, that's what mold does to you. Makes you go cuckoo.
I
And also
thought
your wife got super obliterated at the beginning, then your baby got jarred.
it's true. Moreau I thought was cool, but he didn't do a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot for me. He was a really important character to the story, but he was just like, and then he like dies.
That's all he did the entire game. Every time he's on, except the one time he's like, "Hey, Ethan, I'm distracting." Ethan's like, "What? What's happening?" And then he's like,
yeah.
I think the funny thing is when he becomes the giant fish, he pretty much sounds the same, but like a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
I wish he was more high pitched. That's like the piranha fish monster.
He was kind of the most fun to read about in like the little information things you find.
Yeah.
But I would also say, because she didn't get any mentions, the doll lady, I wish they did more with her because she felt super thrown away.
I do too. Like, her area was so interesting to me, and I was like really hyped after, because you come out of the castle and I was like, oh shit, now we're doing the doll lady. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a next part, and you go in and then you leave, and I was like, oh, that was really short. And then that's also how I felt with like Moreau. You go in that area, you do some stuff, you kill him, and you leave. And I was like, oh, I kind of want some more content with these, because they're supposed to be the 4 big bosses, and really they spent all the time on Lady D and Heisenberg.
Yeah.
But like, so were you finished?
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's all.
Okay, so to kind of like more explain, so I really like Lady D, and I guess Lady D and Heisenberg, I guess, would maybe be like tied for me, and that is like Moreau, because I like big fish monsters. I think they're cool. And then the doll lady, I wish there was more with her. If there was more with her, she probably would be up there, because I also liked her story, that the head wasn't the woman, it was the doll.
Yeah,
and
like,
the woman was like sacrificed.
when they first introduced the doll,
Yeah,
in the scene where they've got you like tied up and like, what are we gonna do with them? And it's like all of them having the council.
Yeah.
And the doll is like freaking out. Like that part's funny when they're fighting.
Yeah.
And the doll like runs away to the like owner of the doll.
Yeah, Donna.
I thought that character was really fun. They just didn't do enough.
Yeah, I thought they were interesting, and I love how the game is like structured, but I would have loved if, and this would probably like piss off a lot of people because
I'm already pissed off.
Yeah, in these games you want to kill the bosses, but I would love if like you actually did team up with Heisenberg, and then Lady D is the one who kills Heisenberg, or like what's the main woman's name?
Mother Miranda.
Miranda.
Yeah.
Like she kills Heisenberg or something because they built up that animosity between Lady D and Heisenberg. I would have loved to see them go head to head, and then like maybe Heisenberg gets killed. Cool. But I love Lady D's chunk of the story the most. When you go to the castle, she's following you around. That's my favorite part of the game, and I really loved her as a villain because she's fantastic. Like the way that she's presented, the way that she handles herself, the way that she talks, like you said, the voice acting is fantastic. I love her long claws because I'm a huge fucking fan of Full Metal Alchemist, and I'm pretty sure she might be a Full Metal Alchemist reference to Lust, who is this very attractive woman, but then her main weapon is to extend her claws and stab people. So like I got a lot of vibes with that. So she was really fucking cool, and then Heisenberg was just like this like goofy ass weirdo Van Helsing looking like military. Like, I built an army of fucking Frankensteins because fuck y'all. I like that guy. But also, I just felt like the bosses, all of them were very good.
Yeah.
I just wish the doll thing was more, because I loved reading that stuff of like, it's the doll, not the woman. The woman was sacrificed to the doll. Basically, she was just thrown at her, and that's who she picked to be like her carrier, basically. And then Moreau, you find out he's more and more mutated as stuff goes on. He's like weird, and
I think he had the most experiments done on him or whatever it was.
Something like that. He just kept doing. He's like, yeah. He's like, I fucking love this. Keep doing it. Well, because he was such a toady. Because he was like, I want to help. I want to be helpful. He's like, make me a fish. I want to be a fish guy, please. And then he's like, he's just vomiting all over the place. But like, I don't know. I loved what they did with the bosses, but I just wish there was obviously more stuff. But I think Lady D and Heisenberg are tied because I really liked all the parts you had of Heisenberg. I just wish he did stuff with the hammer, because I was like, because you could sell it. You just get it and you can sell it. And I was like, fuck that guy, I guess.
I loved selling shit in that game.
I did too. I thought it was fun.
I
the
loved
Duke's like, how'd you get this?
Yeah. Yeah, he like commented on all of it. I loved the inventory and item system. I thought it was a lot of fun.
It's so good.
I hated it. No,
I hate you. We might have to be wrapping up this episode in like 20 minutes or so. So
we're not even done yet.
We're done when I say we're done, which will be in about 20 minutes or so.
Just put a gun on the table.
So Ryan, you didn't play, but you said you watched a synopsis of it, or you read one, or
I read a synopsis, and then I've watched like a handful of like gameplay videos, like kind of more focused on the first half of the game. So I haven't really seen any cutscenes like probably after like God, I don't even know. Maybe like after the doll.
Oh man, you got to go back in. You missed the fucking Lady Dimitrescu sex scene.
Yeah, she's just railing Heisenberg.
Excuse me, guys, I have to go.
In the Athena position.
Ryan forgets to mute himself. We just hear.
And then you hear, what does Lady D say? Man meat?
Man thing.
Man thing.
Oh, I loved that. It was funny.
Yeah. How did you guys feel about like the new enemy types of like werewolves, vampires, and like Frankensteins and just that kind of stuff, like the classic Universal monsters? How did you guys feel from the transition from, I'm not going to even talk about 6, but from the transition of, Las Plagas and zombies and that stuff to new horror monsters? What'd you guys think of that?
I kind of liked it. I like how it was explained that it was just like all the fucking mold being used in different ways to cause all these different mutations and shit.
I like that.
I also liked how the fucking daughters of Dimitrescu were just like flies.
Yeah, I thought
like
that was
made
cool.
Of just a bunch of flies and shit. And then at the end of the whole castle section, Ethan's just like, I hate bugs.
I hate bugs, I hate vampires, and I hate werewolves. And I hate Mia. And then Ethan just banes Lady D. Lady D banes Ethan. Death by Snoo Snoo.
His freaking
Yeah, no,
pelvis is shattered.
she's definitely the one doing the banging.
What did you think, Josh? How did you feel about the transition? Did you like that, or were you hoping for more of like mold, goo, and zombies?
So it was kind of weird because I think Resident Evil 8 is a very fun game, and I think it works very well. However, the enemies, how I loved that there were a lot more types of enemies, because
Yes.
that was my biggest complaint with 7.
Yes, and the creators of 8 specifically said that they wanted to introduce more enemy types, which is why I think they went the route with universal monsters.
Yeah, which I liked, but they did, to me and the person I played it with, they did feel a little goofy.
Who'd you play with?
I was gonna see your mom. It was Celeste. And I don't know. They just felt, well, maybe she feels differently, but I remember just when it was like, oh, it's werewolves and they're mold, and then when they try to explain it, it felt like they had this concept and they were like, oh, I want the game to look like this, and I want to introduce these creatures into it, and they're like, how the fuck are we gonna do that? And they were just like, no, mold. And so they just like implemented, like, they just kind of took, I don't know, it didn't 100% work for me, but it worked enough for it still to be like an 8 out of 10 game. And I was thankful they were there, because if it was just mold monsters running around, it would have been far worse.
I fully fucking agree, because what we talked about in the Resident Evil 7 one is I was very disappointed with it's just all goo men.
Still love that
Like, give
game.
it's great. It's very great. But fucking give me crocodile men. Like, god damn it, just give me like, just visually, I would have loved to see different enemies coming at me.
Yeah.
But were you
That's
done?
it.
Okay, Ryan, how did you? Did I already ask? No.
Sort of. I didn't really get to say too much about it though. Like on the enemy types though, I think I welcome the variety for sure, because like all of Resident Evil has basically been like zombies, or like slightly faster zombies, or more like articulate zombies. So I think like Resident Evil 8 kind of feels like the first time that they've really branched out from like the standard enemy types, and that's something I hope that they kind of continue to introduce in future titles, because I think that's something that, you know, this series could be lacking a lot of, is just variety in general in the combat.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that, or?
No,
Oh, okay.
that's my thoughts.
Okay.
Is that all you got?
God damn
That's
it,
all I
Ryan.
got.
You
To,
know what, Ryan? You're fired. Get out of here.
To
I'm
kind
off
of
to
go back
watch my
to
Dimitrescu sex scene.
yeah, there you go, buddy.
Just have it on a loop for 5 hours.
Damn. To go back to what you were saying, Josh, about like, you know, they had the blueprint of what they wanted of the mold, and then they just were like, no, they had the blueprint if they wanted werewolves and vampires, and they wanted, you know, the universal monsters, and they're like, well, how do we make this work? Oh, mold just does different stuff. And I was thinking of like, you know, I would have loved if they just kept doing like, hey, we took the T virus or you know, the original Resident Evil virus, and basically like the mold, and like, yeah, we just started mixing it with different shit, because that's what they explained, is like, yeah, we mixed it with this, and that's how we got the werewolves. We mixed it with that, that's how we get that. I kind of do like that, but I do wish that stuff was more centered to each different location. Like, I loved Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 were zombies, because it's all in Raccoon City. And then 4, you're in Spain, so you get the Las Plagas. So it's like, cool, that's the same shit, but it's being used in a different way. So that's how you get this stuff. And then 7, it's like, hey, we use this stuff and we made the mold. That's how we get these things. And 8, it's like, hey, we use this stuff. Like, I kind of like that. But at the same time, it's like, you know, a little far-fetched to be like, oh, you got zombies, you got mold, and you got werewolves all from the same thing. But like, I would have loved it, like, oh yeah, like, you know, the guy took the strand and was just experimenting in a different way. I do like that kind of concept, but like you said, they wanted stuff and they just made it work with what they were doing. But at the same time, it's fucking Resident Evil, so
It's fun.
yeah. I agree. It was a fun game. I really liked the enemy types. I really thought they were cool, because I'm a big werewolf fan. I think they're fantastic. I really like the Frankenstein dudes. I thought they were cool. I wish there was more doll enemies of some sort, or like more fishmen. other than just one big fish guy.
Like little tiny like porcelain dolls you just like smash.
I thought you were gonna say
shit
little
out
tiny
of.
like tadpoles or something.
Yeah.
Like
They're
that
just,
too.
like,
Go
biting
forth,
on you
my
and shit.
children! You're just like punching frogs. He's like, fuck these frogs.
At the end, it turns out you're just crazy. They're normal frogs.
Yeah,
You're
they're
just-
not. I made the mold and I put them in with this, and it's just frogs.
He's like at a Petco just punching in the aquariums. But like I don't know, I thought it was cool to have so many different enemy types because then each boss felt unique, and I think that was another thing that made the Doll Woman and Moreau feel so different is because they didn't have a group of enemies with them. Like, you know, Demonstress has all the vampires, Heisenberg has all the Frankensteins, and then, you know, when you're in the village, it's all werewolves. But then when you get to the Doll Woman, it's a big doll baby. And then you get to the Fishman, it's literally just Moreau. There's no other fish.
I did like that Moreau was like hunting you the whole time.
I
before
did
you
think that
actually
was
see
cool.
him.
I also like you said, like how he's like like the whole time. I thought he was cool. I think visually he looked really cool because we were talking about that during Barbarian about like to make the incest woman look better, to make her like even crazier looking, like make her like gross and
Yeah,
stuff.
don't just like, oh, she's fucking pale and she's naked.
She's tall and her boobs are
Wait,
out.
tall? Lady Dimitrescu's tall? Are they the same?
They look the same. They have the exact same face.
If Lady Dimitrescu had that face, I would have killed myself.
What else can we talk about?
There
We
were
might
some
be
things I
done.
wanted to talk about. First of all, how they connected Mother Miranda to Spencer.
I thought that was sick. I thought that was very
I thought
cool.
it was cool, but also at the same time, it's like it kind of gave me the same vibe as like Prometheus, how they were trying to explain like the origins of this
This is stuff that
and,
doesn't
like,
need to
you
be
don't really need
explained.
Fuck is Spencer?
to. Oswald Spencer.
The like OG Resident Evil guy, because Spencer gave he's the one who like invented the virus, right? Or what did Spencer do?
Yeah, he was just like the beginnings of Umbrella. And
Yeah,
everything.
so you find out that he got his beginnings with Mother Miranda. He puts the T in T virus,
Yeah, he put the D in Lady Dimitrescu.
and then she was like, "Get the fuck off me!"
Yeah, and
He's
he's
like,
like,
"You're
"I'm
right."
Spencer!" And then he went off and got killed by Albert Wesker.
Nice. And then William Birkin's like,
I wanted to throw something in real quick.
All right.
Josh mentioned something earlier that like I had kind of forgotten about, and then I was reminded about like the original trailers that came out for Resident Evil 8, and like it's possible that I missed a handful. Like I don't remember seeing all that many trailers focusing on any other boss characters other than Lady Dimitrescu. Like I feel like she almost solely like dominated like the entire trailer space as like the main villain or the main like antagonist, and like that's what I remember feeling like when I was watching Resident Evil 8 videos, and that's why I was also so let down when like she was finished off so early. Was like I went into it thinking like she was actually the main like head of this like the antagonist problem, and then like I quickly realized like, oh, she's like number 2 or number 3 of like this organization. So it was like, I don't know, I felt like the trailers were a little bit misleading. Like obviously Capcom knew they had like such a great character, and that's why they focused on her, but then it's like it just feels like it came up shorter. It was just a letdown overall.
I will say, even though like Mother Miranda looked really cool, would you guys say Lady D looks more iconic though? Yeah.
No one remembers.
Certainly more iconic.
Yeah, because like Mother Miranda's like what, a bunch of crows stapled together?
On her.
Yeah, like she's like fuck. Like Mother Miranda does look really cool, but like when you look at them next to each other, she does look like she straight up looks like a boss from like Bloodborne. But then when you look at Lady D, you're like, what is this? Like, it's a tall woman with long, like tyrant fingers.
It's actually so simple, like her design.
Yeah.
Like it's very straightforward, but like you get the idea. Like when you look at her, you're like, oh shit, this like she looks like trouble.
Yeah. Speaking of trouble, though, have you guys seen the edit where people made her hat bigger? So like that part in like Scary Movie 3 where every time they look at the sheriff, her hat's bigger.
Yeah.
So they kind of did that with Lady D, where every time she like shows up, her hat's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So there's a part where she like ducks through the door and it comes at you and her hat's just fucking huge. You can't even see her.
I love that scene where
Yeah.
you go into her room and you go to open the door and she just comes right through the door and you go, oh shit.
I'm like, oh fuck,
Oh,
there
and
she
she
is.
just like smashes you through the
Yeah,
floor.
I thought that part was so funny because they never kill Ethan.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I've got you now, Ethan. He's like, fuck you, I'll fucking kill you. And then they just like throw you into like the next stage of the level.
Well, dude, that's like fuck damn it. What the hell? We were watching Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
Every time he fought the hero main guy, all Jason did was like punch him or throw him. He just kept grabbing him. I was like, rip him in
Yeah,
half.
she could just, like, chink, like, his
She's
head.
like, why is she like toying with
Why
him?
is
She
she
could just be like,
smashing him through the floor? Gouges out
and
his
Heisenberg
eyes.
being like, I'm gonna send you down there to fight my chainsaw guy. Why isn't Heisenberg just like, I don't know, super impale Ethan right there with like a blink of his eye? He could just like, what the fuck? But they're always like, and Moreau's like, I'm supposed to get you. It's like, why don't you just fucking, he's right there. Like, just, why don't you just kill him?
I think the other funny thing, just to throw this out too, is Ethan is designed obviously to be in first person, so
Yeah.
his model does not show facial expression. So it's really funny. Someone modded the game to be third person kind of quickly after it came out, and all the scenes where he's supposed to like, he's like, "Fuck you, I'll fucking kill you." His face just like staring at Heisenberg, like he just has a completely blank zero expression.
That would be like
I'm gonna
really
fucking
scary.
kill you, son of a bitch.
If the
Can't
villains
do
are
it.
like threatening him, almost killing him, and he's just like expressionless, that would be
The
terrifying.
best
Heisenberg's like,
part is when he's dying.
Like a
It's like-
serial killer.
And Chris is like, we gotta get out of here. And he's just like,
He doesn't even. I don't know. It's somehow the expression that he has on the model is just so blank. It makes all those scenes so good.
That's awesome. Like when his wife dies, he's just like,
Yeah.
like this person.
He's like, okay.
He's like, this is how I really felt about her.
you know, I was thinking about this earlier, but Josh, you might remember what I'm talking about. Do you remember in the Alone in the Dark game,
Oh,
you
God.
switch between first person and third person
Yes.
depending on what you're doing?
Yeah, I do.
I kind of think that would be kind of interesting to do in a Resident Evil thing, where
Yeah.
like, you know, when you
I like that idea too.
yeah, because like the reason you would switch in Alone in the Dark is you would switch between having a melee weapon or a firearm. If you're using a firearm, you're in first person, and then when you have like a fire axe or a chair, you'd be in third person, so that way you can see more what you're doing. In Resident Evil, there's no melee weapons, but I think it would be cool if you had the option.
Oh wait, no. There's like a knife, and then another knife, and then a lightsaber.
That's true. I'm sorry, I forgot about the lightsaber. But like, I think it would be cool. Oh, and you also get the gravity hammer from Halo, right? Fuck you, fucking piece of shit.
What?
Fucking with you, idiot. You fucking. Can you imagine if Ethan was running around with Heisenberg's hammer
It'd be sick.
and just was like, and Heisenberg's like, what the?
You
But,
do get the pieces of it and put it together, but then you just sell it.
I wish you could use it, but
I would.
But I would love the option to like switch between it during like certain moments where you're like, okay, I want to switch to third person, and like, I don't know, you know, it's just be able to change gameplay. Like Red Dead Redemption, you can change it to first person.
Oh well, I mean, in the last update when they added the DLC, they made it so you can do third person.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't know, I think third person's really cool, and I like the like the tank controls and doing all that kind of stuff. I think that's really fun, and I think it adds a little bit. I don't know. There's a lot of horror to both first person and third person, but to get that classic Resident Evil, I think like third person Resident Evil 7, I think would be pretty fucking great. Like going through like the house and like
first person.
what.
Oh, the first person works so good though.
It is very good, but I would love the option to switch. I would love the option to turn it on and off.
Well, the thing is, the games are pretty much made for first person, so third person is kind of like really weird in 8.
So that's what Resident Evil 9 should do. They should make it like with both those things in mind. Because that's what I really like forgot about with Alone in the Dark, and like that kind of makes it more intense. Is like when you switch to a gun, you go first person, and like then it makes it more important to like land your shots correctly.
Yeah, and I kind of, you know, playing Resident Evil 2 and just all new Resident Evil, I kind of wish they allowed you to have a melee weapon, like not just a knife. Like I would love, like, you know, to go back to the open world new character thing, like maybe introduce that you can, you know, always like you can have your gun, or you can like carry, you know, like an axe if you find one, or like, you know, something like that as well. I don't know, because I like melee weapons in zombie games. which is why I was excited for Callisto Protocol. But then apparently that game is just butt cheeks.
It's
You
not
might
even
like it.
Yeah.
I probably will like it. I mean, look at me. I'm like bald and I don't know anything about anything.
I don't wanna look
I have
at
like
you.
autism
It's
and
just-
ADHD, and I'm like,
It's not melee weapons. It's melee weapon.
No, you get 2.
yeah, fuck
Oh,
you, idiot.
Well, it's basically like no difference.
Yeah, it's true.
but I think that would be cool if like in Resident Evil, like you had, because now they introduced the whole knife health, where your knife ends up breaking every once in a while from stabbing too much.
Oh
But,
yeah,
like-
the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4, and then Resident Evil 2, your knife has health, but you can't repair it. If you break your knife in Resident Evil 2, you're fucked. You don't get that knife back. But I'm like, how is there no like? It's just one of those things where I don't like, because like in Condemned 1 and 2, you can use almost everything as a weapon. So like in Resident Evil, where they're like, oh my god, there's all these zombies, and then they run past a fire axe and like, there's so many fucking zombies. What are we gonna do? I'm like, so is that just not useful in this universe? Like, and then like, oh yeah, there's crowbars and these things. I'm like, so is this not like, that's one thing I liked about Resident Evil Revelations is a character is straight up using a fucking crowbar, and I'm like, cool, like, and can't you use that shit more? And then in Resident Evil Outbreak, you can use brooms and you can use knives and you can use fire axes. You can find melee weapons as well as guns, because ammo should be scarce. And then there's also, like, again, Resident Evil 8, there's fucking scythes and axes and a whole bunch of shit. And what Ethan is like, fat. And then, like, I don't know, pick
say
up
that.
something, asshole.
Can I add one thing?
No,
I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's gonna be quick.
Okay.
Fuck Alone in the Dark. That shit sucks.
Okay. There's one more thing I want to say about Resident Evil 8.
Okay. We gotta wrap up soon.
So there was a character that I think originally was going to be in Resident Evil 8 from the other games. It's in the scene. Well, this is what I've heard. I don't know like how true it is, but what I've heard is in the scene where they have Ethan tied up. Apparently, Ada Wong was originally supposed to come in and like rescue you.
No fucking way.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I would believe that, because Ada's always up to something. Have you
Yeah.
guys ever looked at the original concept art for Resident Evil 8?
A little bit.
So, like, if I remember correctly, Heisenberg looked very different. And there was also the idea that I think all the 4 heads were supposed to be relatives. They were supposed to be brothers and sisters. Like, they were supposed to be related.
Yeah.
I think Moreau was more human looking. Like, if you guys ever get a chance, I would say look up the concept art for the Resident Evil.
Right now, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Josh
but
is
yeah,
doing
the
it
original
live on the
concept
air.
for the bosses looked very different, and then they like, I think when they decided that they'll each be their own entity, I think they're like, we'll be a little bit more creative with each one, which I think is cool because your bosses should stand out from each other. So then that way, like even like Resident Evil 4, I love the bosses in that one because each one is similar but also vastly different, because Krauser is nothing like Mendez. He's a fucking military dude with like no shirt, and he's
Yeah.
like fucking straight up out of like a
That's where he gets all his power from.
yeah, because he was very weak when he had a shirt on, and he took his shirt off.
Yeah, because
very powerful.
He sucks in energy through his nipples.
Yeah,
Ada Wong was gonna show up in fucking plague doctor shit.
dude.
Oh,
what?
yeah, that's right,
I have
yeah.
to see. Get the fuck out of here, dude. I would have like shit my britches if a plague doctor showed up in Resident Evil 8. Resident Evil Plague. Oh, I don't know. I liked Resident Evil 8 though, but there was a lot of stuff in it that I was like, it felt very much more. What are you looking at?
Is that Moreau?
Moreau looks like him.
Dude, he looks like the Collector from Mortal Kombat.
I love the Collector.
I also love the Collector. But yeah, like, I don't know. Just to go back, I would love if they introduced some sort of more of a melee combat thing, or at least just the option to like have like even like a police baton to like just, I don't know, hit fucking zombies. Like maybe you know, obviously you can't kill them, but it can knock their asses back a little bit. I don't know. It just, to me, it's just, it's one of those things where it's like, can you just not grab something? Like, there's always parts where you're like, oh, I have no ammo, and then you look at like a fucking gold sword on the wall, and Leon's like, oh, that's part of a puzzle. I'm like, can you not use that? Like,
Well, to be fair,
That's what was so awesome about Dead Rising.
yeah, I was about to say that Capcom's other
Yeah.
zombie game, Dead Rising, where you do that. You just like even pick
The
up a freaking,
world is your
just
weapon.
like pick up plates and throw them at zombies.
that's fantastic.
And do nothing.
Like, that's
Use
why I
a toy
love
sword.
Dead Island so much.
Even if it's like the most useless thing, like it could be like a Nerf gun and you can still use it.
Yeah, like throwing handfuls of jewelry at them.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. We got to wrap up soon. Does anyone else have anything else they want to add? And this will be the end of the Resident Evil franchise. And this also, since this is going to be the end of the Resident Evil franchise, the main games, every episode after this that's part of like the normal podcast, like just the normal Underground Mold Radio, everything after this episode will now be posted on Spotify as well, which I'm going to be setting up tomorrow. Yeah, because Movie Graveyard will start being posted to Spotify. Underground Mold Radio normal channel, and then also the Chud Talk shit. Now that we get these new mics and everything sounds more professional.
Yeah.
My name is Mike. I'm using a new mic.
I used to work with a guy named Mike. He fucking sucked.
Dude,
he looked
invite
like
him.
DJ Khalid.
What?
Yeah, I'm not going to fight him. He's like sucked. Josh, do you have any final thoughts, final opinions, final farts, final destinations?
Oh shit.
No.
Dang. Okay, Patrick, do you have anything else you want to add?
Thank you, Josh.
No.
Okay, Ryan, you got anything else you want to add?
No.
Well, okay, I guess I don't have anything else to add either, because I don't want to be the only one talking.
You can add stuff.
I don't know. Just like,
What do you want to add?
so just to kind of go back
Just
really
shut
quick.
up
Okay,
already.
damn. Just to go back though to like I asked this question earlier and I've asked it a few times about like, do you guys want the original characters to come back? But the problem to me is like the original characters back then were designed a certain way to be third person characters, because like Chris and like Jill and Claire and Leon, they're kind of caricatures of like, you know, they have like their green body armor. Leon gets his like, you know, SWAT gear and it's all blue, and Claire's like all red. Like they're kind of more designed to be looking at the character model.
Yeah.
And when you make first person, who gives a shit who you're kind of like playing as? Because you're never gonna see your fucking face, or you're never gonna see your character model.
I don't know.
So
Playing as Ethan, I was always like, nice hands.
yeah, nice hands, nice like button up blue shirt, like nice slacks. Like I don't know, like if they're gonna be original characters, I would like to be able to see the original characters. That's the final thing I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I've been your host, Blake, sitting next to my right. I'm gonna have to edit that. That's gonna blow the fucking mic. I don't know why I do that. I don't know what it is about me that I have to get so fucking close to this mic. Every time I'm editing this new shit, I have to drag my stuff down so bad. Like the
your
most
autism.
recent one. What?
your
It's my autism.
Oh,
It's my
damn.
audiotisms. But like in the I don't know what it was for. I think it was Jason Goes to Hell. At one point, I'm just screaming into the mic, and I don't know why. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I was just going like, yeah, well, I was just screaming into it. I was like, I gotta turn all that down. And there's also one where Patrick did it too.
I don't scream.
Fuck you! You scream so much. And see, like,
I've never heard Patrick scream.
I keep grabbing this and getting close to it. I don't know why. Luckily, Ryan's not here. I just put the mic where he talks.
I don't scream.
Easy peasy.
We don't scream. All right. So, Ryan, say goodbye.
I'm a host that's over 1,000 miles away.
Host
Goodbye.
from the East Coast.
Robotic host Ryan.
What's it like in New Jersey?
All right.
1,000
It's
miles
pretty
away.
okay. Thank you, Patrick, for asking.
Patrick, close out.
My name is Patrick. I'm one of your hosts. Also, goodbye.
Josh, close out.
I'm Josh. Bye.
And I'm the host, Blake, and also goodbye. Also, I keep forgetting to do this, but I need to make sure to do it. We have to do a shout out to our Patreon followers. Right now, one is Josh, it's right next to me. The other one is Luca, aka my partner. The best way to help the channel is to do the Patreon, because that way that helps fund any project or anything that we do, and also afford equipment.
Blake.
As the what?
We weren't quiet for 10 seconds.
You know what's
That's fine.
funny? Doesn't matter with these mics.
Yeah, I was gonna say these are good enough.
These mics are so
So
fucking
good.
good. We don't need that 10-second
But
silence.
I miss it. I miss Josh leaving.
I miss us.
I miss who we used to be.
They're not the same anymore.
Also, fuck you. I'm trying to do the closeout of like thanking the Patreon.
You're tearing
and, like,
me apart, Lisa.
The Patreon.
Yeah, the Patreon.
Fuck the patrons.
But yeah, like I was trying to say, is the best way to help the channel is to like, subscribe, and do all that shit. But the Patreon is the best way to help because that is funding for any project that we do. Because currently, right now, it's all from our pockets. I was gonna say
Your pocket.
I don't have any pockets.
but Ryan did help pay for the audio equipment.
Shit.
Right.
Shit. Yeah.
I'm a not Patreon.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
but that is like the best way to like help stuff get done. But yeah, link in the description for Epoop, who created the intro song for. Well, no, fuck. He hasn't done the intro yet for this one, so fuck that. There will not be an intro for this because. I mean, not intro. There will be an intro
There's
song.
no intro.
There's fuck. Damn it. There'll be an intro song.
You're strangling the microphone.
But it'll be
Calm
from White
down.
Bat like it normally is. Stop talking.
Jesus Christ.
I'm muting
No,
you.
stop reaching. He's reaching.
I'm muted. I muted Patrick. No, Josh is muted too. Everyone's fucking muted except for me. There will be an intro song, but it's not by Epoop. Epoop has done the intro for Movie Graveyard and Chud Talk, but he has not done it yet for this. And he's not, also, Epoop is not one person, it's a band. But fuck you, we're out. Ryan, say goodbye for the final time.
Goodbye, I'm Ryan.
You're muted, you dumbass.
I know.
All right, thanks Ryan for chatting, and you take good care of your fucking fuck.
Turn me back on. Turn me back on.
Oh, what?
Ryan, take care of your kids for me.
Okay.
All right, bye everybody. Thanks for listening.